Domestic violence, also called intimate partner violence, occurs between two people in an intimate relationship. Now, domestic violence can actually take many forms, including emotional and physical abuse, as we've seen in that video, and threats of abuse as well. Abuse by a partner can happen to anyone, but domestic violence is most often directed towards women. We will look at this with focus on recent happenings in Nigeria, and we have Coach Naomi Demide with us in the studio to talk about domestic violence. Good morning and welcome to Daybreak Extra yet again. It's good to have you back.
Thank you. Good morning.
Okay, so we're going to focus on two incidents. One of the late gospel artist Osinachi, who died, due to domestic violence, and other lady who actually called off her wedding 3 days before, it happened due to domestic violence. These are some of the incidents that we will be focusing on. All right, so let me move on to
one thing that welcome back, first of all. Yes, nice to have you with us again. Yes. One thing about domestic violence, most especially in marriages, that actually the ones that end badly, because it never ends well.
Yeah,
it never ends well. It's when it eventually happens. What we all know is going to happen most likely when the wife gets murdered. At the end of the day, that's when you start hearing stories about, this is what happened 20 years ago, 15 years ago, he did this, he usually does that, Why is it that people around know, but they don't do anything and they don't say anything until after the deed is done? That's when people come out and start spreading stories and whatnot. Why is it? Why is that?
Well, for one, first of all, it's always good to see you guys. You guys are looking so good. All right, for one, death is tragic.
Yes.
And it stirs up emotions. So I think basically people talk about it more after the damage has been done because emotions are stirred up. But when it was going on, we have this thing, I want to call it cultural, religious issues that, okay, it's not my business. I shouldn't get involved. When you hear someone screaming next door, it's husband and wife something. Let's leave them to handle their differences. And then people are told when they're getting married, I don't know how many people you've heard or have said this, that you shouldn't allow a third party get involved in your relationship. Whatever goes on within the family, keep it within the... Exactly. So we have grown up with this negative thought that when it comes to your relationship, keep it very personal. Don't let the next person know, and everybody treats it as such.
Yeah, well, it's different. It's different if people don't know. What I'm saying is people actually know, and they don't say anything until after the damage is done. That is my problem. Because if they don't know, then they don't know.
Yeah.
But people know. These are their friends, people's friends, their relatives, but they don't say anything until after the damage, and that's when they will come and say, "Hey, that was when he did this last year. He did." I really don't. I can't wrap my head around that.
Sometimes I want to say it's the fault or the choice. Let me not say fault, choice of the victim involved or the perpetrator. When people, maybe on one or two occasions, somebody has tried to step in to mediate, and the person or the victim didn't welcome such. So such people just say, okay, we hands off, let's just let them be. Or they involved themselves, they got involved, neighbors got involved, family got involved, and the perpetrator got violent with them. And then they just take their hands off and say, okay, let's just watch what happens. Maybe they'll figure it out at some point or something. So it's everything that happens in domestic violence, really, the sad thing is that it's a choice.
Okay, so but how common is domestic violence, especially in Nigeria? Because a lot of videos have been popping up, even outside of Nigeria,
Oh my God, domestic violence has been on for decades. Domestic violence, especially in middle class and the lower class areas or regions, when you see the poor and the average. We don't hear it so much among the rich because Okay, there's something to fall back on, there's something to focus your attention on, and that is money.
Okay.
You can
So
travel.
you're saying poverty or frustration is what causes domestic violence?
Is one of the causes of domestic violence. So it has been on for as long as I can ever remember. Even before I can remember, domestic violence has been prevalent.
Okay, so would you say now, since we're focusing on women, would you actually say that for it to actually continue, for domestic violence to, you know, still be ongoing in one's home, would you say the women are the ones enabling it?
To an extent, yes. Women, to an extent, have been enablers. They have allowed it to go as far as it has, for many reasons, both negative and positive reasons. Let's look. Am I free to go on?
Yes, go ahead.
Into the causes.
Yes, go ahead.
All right. So, some of the causes of domestic violence, why women have kept silent, is because they feel that, okay, if I report this, my kids could be taken away from me, so I will stay here because of my kids. All right. I am also a victim of domestic violence growing up.
Wow.
Yes, growing up. So I've witnessed it, and it went on for about 28 to 30 years.
Wow.
Oh.
That's quite a while.
Yeah. So the topic is personal to me because I want a situation where I can voice out, I can let people know that you have a means, you have the right, you have the voice, you are enabled to speak. One of the reasons why women don't speak up is because their spine, let me use quote and unquote spine, their voice has been silenced. When you have an oppressor or an oppressive spouse being superior over you, over time you lose your voice, you lose your confidence, you lose your person, you lose who you are, and you look at the mirror one day and you can't even figure out who this person is. So what the person does, the victim does, is just to play along. So it's more like a puppeteer and a puppet. Move, you move. Dance, you dance. Whatever I say you do, you do. Why? She doesn't have finances. She doesn't have a fallback on plan. She doesn't have support. Society, yes, has contributed. Religion, culture, a lot of things has risen up against the voice of a woman. And if she finds herself in that situation where she has to come before in-laws and relatives and she's pleading her cause, there is a high possibility that no one will listen to her. They will definitely listen to the man. So these are some of the few reasons why women keep quiet.
And men is because they don't want to
That's
sound
why you
weak.
started again.
Because you said we were focusing on women. I didn't even know we were focusing on women.
Yes, we are, because,
we're focusing on domestic violence.
Okay.
That was what we're focusing on. We're
Sorry
not focusing
about
on women.
that.
Exactly.
Sorry.
And men are actually victims of domestic violence as well.
Yes.
We've established
Yeah,
that.
definitely.
Yes.
And we
Yes.
understand that. All right. So men need a voice as
Yes,
well. Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah. So what I wanted to ask was, in a situation whereby most of us we can get into the minds of the victim, all right, so that we can see things from their own perspective. All right, they've been harassed, subjugated, abused. They don't have any sense of self-worth anymore, and that's why they condone that. But what of the mind of the abuser? What does he get out of it? Is he just a sadist? The likes inflicting pain on people? Is it a power trip? Is it a psychopath? No. So can we try to analyze it from his own perspective to see what the abuser gets out of it?
Yeah, absolutely. We can. I'm one person who is intrigued by the minds of people. It was once a hobby for me, and now it has become a profession.
Yes.
I love to know what you're thinking and why you're thinking the way you think. So, if I was a perpetrator of domestic violence, the thing is, violence is interesting. When you feel that first surge of power, you just feel like, oh yes, this feels good. You
Just
know?
like a drug.
It's like a drug, exactly. So when you just feel that first surge and like you attempt it again. And why I said attempt is because it's a trial.
Okay.
When people get married, they push a little and then they push a little further. And the more the spouse or the other person, the next person, accepts it, like, okay, I can get away with it again. And then
further
you push
you go.
again, you know. But when you nip it in the bud at the first, second time, And he's like, oh, the first time I let you, the next time I won't, right? The person is like, okay. So what perpetrators think or what they do is manipulation. It's all manipulation. It's all a game for them.
Okay.
It's something they enjoy. It's something they derive pleasure in because they have been on the side of the victim before. Most people who are perpetrators of domestic violence have been victims most upon a time. It's either they've been beaten by their parents or they've been bullied in school or they are just looking for a way to vent. Okay. Something has been bottled up for too long and they are looking for a way to just get it out.
Okay, now you talked about them probably being beaten by their parents. Now, we're not actually ready to go into children yet, but since you're there, let me ask, how do you differentiate when a parent is disciplining a child and when they're abusing the child?
When do you cross the line between discipline and abuse?
Yes.
I think you as a person would know. You would know when you have crossed the line. You feel when it turns to doing it out of anger rather than I want to correct you, love, from a place of love. And I have a rule, I don't beat when I'm angry. I can't remember I beat my kid recently. But that was after a very long time.
Yes, you have to lay the smack down every once in a while.
Yes, you just need to let them know who's boss sometimes. So that was after a very long time. What we do is we usually give other correctional activities like reading, go and circle all the vowels, go. No, really, it's helpful.
It is helpful,
It's helpful,
but it's boring.
But compared to beating all the time,
of course. No, I'm looking at it from a kid's perspective.
Yeah,
you understand. I'm looking at it from
that's
a kid's
the idea.
Exactly.
It gets you to focus and just be in that boring place.
And definitely, when you
think about what you've done,
when you remember that you're going to do something like that, when next you mess up, you're not going to do it again. Exactly.
So you get to a point if you keep beating, you get to a point where a child just says, "It's not beating."
Beat me, and
and they just bring
thick skin.
And I think it's those kind of ones, and it's those kind of ones that actually develop into with the abusers that we're talking about now. Because he actually believes that's the only outlet that he has, whatever the situation is. So the next available person he gets, he vents.
He vents, but it comes in two ways. It comes in two ways. Abuse, you can have the passive abuser, and you can have the violent abuser. The passive one is the one that you will say, what do you want to eat for breakfast? Anything. The person is just stone cold. The person doesn't feel anything you are feeling.
Well, let me just jump in here.
Yeah.
In defense of the men, I mean, like, that's one of the most difficult questions to answer. What do you want to eat?
I don't get why, because you have so many options, or
that was just an instance.
Yeah, I know. I know, but it's that kind of situation.
That's just an instance.
Yes, I understand that. So it's a very, very technical question. You understand?
Okay, so how about what do you want to wear? When we start going deeper into the questions,
that's for women.
That's for women. That's for women. But a man just wakes up, you see the next available shirt, you throw it on. So go ahead.
All right. So now, how bad is it?
Because she was talking about passive abusers.
Okay.
Yes,
go
exactly.
Ahead.
So that interests me. So
we have the passive abusers and we have the violent abusers. The ones we see a lot are the violent abusers. And violent abusers are those who beat, you see them hitting, they want to break something, they want to just destroy something, they want to vent it out on someone, most especially because it reminds them of where they used to be. And because they have been able to rise up and take control and take charge of their lives, quote and unquote, and the situation, when they see a person trying to rise up for themselves, they become violent. When they see a scenario that reminds them of where they were coming from or where they used to be, they get violent. It's like a trigger for them. So they hit. Okay, my dad used to hit. He will hit. I will hit. My mom used to break things. I will break things. That's just the whole picture in their minds. Then the passive ones are the ones that just lock up. Those ones you don't know. I think those ones are even deadlier.
Or maybe he just wants to be left alone.
That's worse. That's where the mind of a psychopath is built. That's where you see people coming up as terrorists, You see people,
serial
killers, yes. It comes from a place of a dark space where they have just been by themselves. So these people see it's me against the whole world. They don't see it's you and I. The whole world hates me. The whole world is against me. So what can I do to break the whole world? What can I do to make the whole world bow to me? So they go all out. They go extreme. They can go as far as becoming terrorists. They can go as far as walking into a place and just committing, shooting people and commit suicide themselves. They can do anything. That's horrible.
But I think you can recognize some of these things if you see them in people,
Yeah.
you know. And before you actually get married to someone, you do stay with the person and you
Yes.
date that person. So why is it so difficult to stop this before it escalates into something? I mean, like, I can't do it. I don't want to do it. Let me go. All right. Why is it so difficult? Because we keep saying he will change or she will change. Yeah, we're going to fix it. We'll make it work. But we never heard of hear it make it work. You know, it's never been made to work before. Why this belief that it can actually be made to work?
Like they like to say, I won't say like they say, like they like to say, love is blind.
I see.
But unfortunately, love has eyes. It's the players that are blind. When you see signs, you keep hoping that your love is strong enough to change this person's behavior. And for parents out there that merge people, individuals, because they hope that they will change their children, marriage is not a catalyst for change. In fact, marriage brings out the worst in you. Marriage is a test. Marriage is a school where you'll never graduate. You keep writing exams and tests. You fail, you write it again. It is not a quick fix. It's not a microwave approach to change your negativity or your negative sides or your toxicity. So those who are hoping that they can change their spouse probably came from a place of, okay, love will change this person. And most times they come from happy homes. A happy person from a happy home meets a toxic person from a toxic home, a toxic background. And you feel, okay, your whole life has been a fantasy. Mommy, daddy loved themselves, everything was going well, and that's how the whole world works. It works like Disneyland for them. And unfortunately, the media has not helped us either. Entertainment industry hasn't helped us either. Look at our love songs, for instance. I will catch a grenade for you.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I just want to know, is it possible for one to be in an abusive relationship and not know it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What are the dangers in that?
A lot of people are presently in abusive relationships and they don't even know it. The sad part is we who are professionals in this aspect, when we see it, we know it, but we try to even bring these people out of it. Like, hey, do you think he should be doing this to you or she should be doing this to you? And they say, oh, he loves me, she loves me, it's fine, it's fine, I can handle it and all that. The dangers in that is that it just escalates. That's the major danger. It escalates, it keeps going on and on and on. It starts small, like I said, it's just like a chip. You just drop it, and then if you take that bait, drop a bigger one, and then just keeps pushing further. If the victim in the abusive relationship allows this to continue to go on, we may have another case of what happened to Osinachi and many other women. And our parents, our mothers, most especially, I wouldn't like to say our fathers, because back in the day, domestic violence on men wasn't as common as it is today. Our mothers, a lot of women in the past, you can quote me anywhere on this, suffer from depression. That is where you will see a woman always wake up in the morning and she's just singing a song to herself. You're like, are you okay? She's like, I'm fine. Our mothers were expressionless. Their faces really didn't have any expression. And should they catch you that they want to discipline you, they will pour the anger of the husband, your father, everything. Why? I've heard a mother tell her child, you are a bastard. Why? I believe it comes from a place of pain. So these are the effects that it has on the women. or the people involved, you carry out aggression. You just find the next person to vent at. And in the workspace too, it goes as far as the workspace. You want
transfer of aggression.
transfer aggression. You see somebody that, okay, your mother had dreads, so when I walk into the workspace,
You remind me of my.
you remind me of my mother. Or you see a man wearing glasses that looks like this, and he's like, oh, my daddy used to have these glasses. You remind me of my father. Even to smell, it triggers memories.
Now, in the case of Osinachi, she knew she was in an abusive relationship. She didn't want to bring in a third party, you know, and she just kept, you know, accepting whatever came to her. And this man would actually, you know, lock up her funds, you know, because she was the money maker, she was the breadwinner. So a lot of people have actually said he was jealous of her fame and, you know, the amount of money she was getting. And the children have actually given account of how sometimes, you know, he will take her car, drive the children to church, and then tell her to bike to church and back home.
Yeah.
Okay, in such cases, and we actually just realized that, or we just found out that he actually had a wife before the Osinachi. Now, in such cases, a lot of people seem to think since she was a churchgoer and, you know, a born-again Christian, you know, most of the religions, you know, that we have, they advise women in domestic relationships to still stick around and stay with their partner despite what they're going through. What do you have to say about that?
Okay.
He will change, just manage, just stay around for the children.
Yeah.
If you leave, what will people say?
This particular line hit home for me because I have seen couples whose spouse has left them to be by themselves, and the kids have to go drive along with them in the car, and you just drive past mommy and all that. I've seen all of that. And I think she was expecting and hoping at some point that he will change. I think hope kept her alive for as long as it did. And I want to believe that her hope was that her children, when she wakes up and she looks at them and she's like, okay, this is the reason why I stay. Her hope was her music, her songs. They kept her going. But it got to a point where hope can only take you so far.
I'm sorry, let me even include this. At some point when he's beating her up, he gives the children cane to flog the mom.
Yes, I read that.
What is he teaching these children?
I want to also believe that most likely if we go back to patterns. I was here some time ago and I spoke about patterns. And I want to believe that she probably has had a similar experience, probably from home.
Growing up,
most likely from home. Maybe she has seen her parents, or she has seen someone close to her, a neighbor, a relative, or whoever.
So subconsciously she thinks
this is normal. This is marriage.
I can do this.
It's for better, for worse. But hey, when you are taking your vows, you need to know what you're saying. I don't see any part in the Nigerian constitution or in the holy books that say you should just say it. You must say what you are being told to say. I don't think there's anywhere said. And for me as a Christian, the vow says for better, for worse. I don't know what it is in the Quran, but worse didn't say worst.
That's that when it becomes fatal or something.
Yes, so when it gets worse, it's bad. Okay. Look for ways to remedy it. It goes worse. Hey, that is where the vow ends.
Anything beyond that?
Nothing beyond that. So
that.
let's be reasonable in knowing what our vow says. Your vow does not say worst, right? So know when it has gone beyond bad, and I think you should just.
My question still comes back to what I talked about earlier. I mean, like most of these stories that we're hearing now about Osinachi and her husband and the kids, people are the ones who are saying this. Where were they when these things were happening? When the kids were being given the cane to flog the wife, where were they? When she was being left to bike from when she had the car, probably she bought it.
She didn't speak up.
Probably she bought the car.
She did. It was actually gifts. They were gifts for her.
Exactly. Where were those people that are talking now? Where were they when these things were happening?
Before it became
Couldn't they
fatal.
have done something? Couldn't they have said something to someone? Even if it means going there to physically extract her from the house.
Ibrahim, to actually, like she said, right? You have to speak up. If you don't speak up,
have to be
people will
willing.
not
No, but the thing
know.
is, how do they know what's happening? How do they
In
know?
most cases,
where are these stories coming out from now?
What they can actually do is actually, help her in that moment, take her out of that particular situation, and then if she wants to go back, you cannot hold
What
her.
I'm saying
You can't
is,
stop her.
she's not the one who is speaking now. It is people who are speaking, which means they knew.
They have advised her.
Because they knew
Yes.
when this thing was
They
going on.
advised
So
her
where
countless
were they?
times. She refused.
You'll really be shocked to know how many people know your address.
Exactly.
You'll be shocked to know how many people know what you ate last night. People are watching.
Ibrahim,
People are
do
watching.
you know it was so bad that even he actually hit her, kicked her in the chest, and that was what put her in a coma for 4 days before she died. Do you know this man went about saying that she died of cancer?
Yeah,
The new latest development that I read last night was that she had respiratory issues.
Definitely,
already.
she'll have respiratory issues. If you get kicked
If
on the
you've been
chest,
kicked,
you will
yeah.
have respiratory issues.
Over time, she has had a respiratory
No,
issues.
you see, the thing is, I'm not even looking at it from his own perspective. You know, I asked you a question about looking at it from the abuse. No, for him in particular.
From the passers by or the
I'm not looking at it.
standing by.
I don't want to even go in his
Okay.
direction because his is totally different. You understand? I can't even stand to remember that. But my question is, the people that are around, she has family members, she has friends, she has neighbors. What I'm saying is, these stories that we're hearing now, she's not the one telling them. It's those people that were there. Those are the ones that say, hey, he used to carry her on
Mostly
bike.
the children.
He used to do
It's the
this, he used to do
children.
that. Where were they? Couldn't they have gone? I mean, like, this is my sister. Can't I go there and extract her physically from the house?
A lot has to do with culture, religion, and what do I call it now? Beliefs, what has spanned over time. Let's look at culture, for instance. Culture says that before you can dissolve a marriage, you have to call the kinsman, you have to call a lot of people. These people did not say the vow with me.
And they are not the one living in
They're
this marriage.
not the ones living in the marriage with me. The best you can do as a third party, as far as I'm concerned, every other person that is not married to the perpetrator is a third party. I am the one wearing the shoes. I know where it hurts. And I come out and I say this is what he's doing. And you're seeing signs. Okay, call witnesses. Let's be fair to the victim in the abuse. Many times society has not been fair. Culture has not been fair. The religious clergymen and everyone in the whole religious sect has not been fair. We've had countless times when we hear people go to their pastor or imam to complain and they say, pray. How does prayers, yes, prayers to an extent changes people. But at that moment, we need an intervention. So what could have been done at that point from Osinachi's family? And so far, I've not heard anybody from her family speak, except her sister.
The mom, the sister, and her aunt spoke.
Okay, good. But we were expecting more. I expected more from Osinachi's family. I expected... It's well-meaning Nigerians that are carrying this thing on their head and shouting about it.
Or maybe they're feeling guilty for allowing it to go on for
yes,
this long.
Yes, there was. There's guilt,
there should be a feeling
especially
of guilt.
within her circle of colleagues in the music
close,
industry that kept saying they saw, but not for one day did we hear of it.
That is what is actually riling me up right now.
To an extent, it's how much she allows them, how much she gives them
Exactly,
opportunity,
because
how much room she avails to them. And Osinachi was scared. Osinachi was afraid. Osinachi was suffering from inferiority complex issues. So this is somebody that has no money. This is somebody that makes the money. She's the Jackie donkey in the relationship. She works but does not eat. She smells but does not breathe. How do you expect her to
So
voice
he
out?
imprisoned her in...
Basically, and that is what abusers do. They take away, like I said, they take away your spine, everything you hold dear to you. As a matter of fact, I want to believe that the reason why her family isn't speaking so much is probably because he separated her, disassociated her from her family.
That's what narcissists do.
That's what narcissists do. So I understand that, okay, if they don't come out and they probably did not know as much as even people know. I'm sure they are shocked probably as we are
And
too.
the distance might be an issue because they're in the village and she's in Abuja here.
Why if you dig further, you will find out that he probably didn't even allow her travel home. All right.
The mom said she hasn't seen her in 8 or 10 years.
Okay, so you see that. So what they do, first of all, narcissists, abusers, manipulators, they are all the same. These are just generic words for the same people. They take what you hold there, what they feel can be a threat to them having control of you, they take it away from you. They make the kids... Okay, he used her kids against her, for instance. Okay, these were people that she was looking up to. Okay, this is my hope. These are the people that I will grow up and probably save me from the marriage. Seeing them beat her. Okay, I think that did something to her. I think that made her keep quiet even more. She was seen, but she was never heard.
Okay, now what does the Nigerian law say about domestic violence, and what kind of help is available for those who are in such situations?
We still have quite a journey when it comes to domestic violence in Nigeria. There's still a lot to be done. It's not enough to make laws. Laws are just like saying don't go here and don't go there.
More like guidelines.
More like guidelines. And then, of course, perpetrators will always test to see, like, they like to push how far. Little. So what the government should do is to make the laws even stricter. We've heard of the law that says you beat a woman, you get jailed. You get a room in prison, like I like to call it. You just have it self-contained there, where you can stay and think about your life for a couple of years. So, yes, domestic violence, the law in Nigeria right now is you get jail term when you participate in domestic violence. But it's not enough to just have that law. We need to create safe homes. We need to do more.
Okay, now talking about safe homes. When a child witnesses domestic abuse, right, is that another form of domestic abuse? And who should be blamed? Is it the one abusing, let's just say, is it the father that's doing the abusing, or the mother that's receiving the abuse, or both of them?
Both of them are participants.
But is it a form of domestic abuse if a child witnesses domestic violence in the house?
It is. It is. Domestic violence is not just husband and wife fighting. No. Domestic violence is every form of oppression perpetrated by someone close to you. And that is called a domestic person. That's why it's called domestic violence, because it's someone within your family space, someone that is really close to you, someone really intimate with you. So yes, father can come. So when a father hits a child in a way he's not supposed to hit that child, it's also domestic violence. When a mother hits her child or her sister, it's also domestic violence. So it's not when husband and wife fight. The notion people have when they hear domestic violence is husband and wife fighting. No. So when parents or a parent engages in domestic violence, the children watching, their minds are already abused. It's like telling a child to watch pornography.
Okay, but then if the child isn't even old enough to understand what is happening, how can they be affected?
Let me ask you a question. How much flashback from your childhood
From when
do
I
you
was
have?
2.
So I think that answers it. All right. So when you say the age, okay, I have a single mom that had her child watching pornography from 2 years by his dad. And then she's like, what's going on here? It's like, come on, he doesn't know anything.
Oh, really?
But he started touching her.
That's
And touching himself. Yes, inappropriately.
Exactly. Because he thinks
Of
it's
course.
normal.
It's fun. Everybody is watching it. They are laughing. So when we think children do not know, children know, and there's something about the residual memory. When it's like keeping files in a system, in your hard drive,
Backing up.
you just backs up. Whenever you need it, you just pop up.
But I mean, like, yeah, we usually point out this, we go back to the home, all right? This guy is a serial abuser and whatnot, oh, he must have been abused at home, he must have witnessed it, he must have seen it. But I want to go back by what you said earlier before you started speaking. You said anything that happens concerning domestic violence is actually a choice.
Yeah.
I think people make conscious efforts to be abusers. You're not just made just because they beat you at home or you grew up at home and found your dad beating your mom. That doesn't make you that person.
Yeah.
Because I know personally of people who have gone through like serious sorts of abuse as children, but they didn't grow up to be abusers.
Okay.
So at what point does a person actually make that decision or make up his mind that this is what I want to be or this is what I want to do? Or this is how I'm going to deal with this.
Let me just use this story. 2 kids growing up in a home with an alcoholic dad. And he drinks all the time, comes home, beats them, and does all manner of things to himself, embarrasses himself and the entire family. And one day he goes drinking and he has an accident and he dies. Let's assume that it's you and I. You're my brother, I'm your sister. What choices would you make? What choices will I make? It would definitely be different choices. Even if we have 10 of us from the same family, our choices will all be different. The way you perceive your dad, you can see him as a hero. He died on the bottles.
Yes.
We go drinking. I need to keep his honor. And then I may feel, okay, no, I will never, ever go near a bottle. And then you may feel, okay, I'll just drink once in a while, just see what it feels like. But I will never allow it to get into my head. Everybody that has grown up in the domestic violent environment made a choice. Either to be a perpetrator or to be an advocate against it.
Or to allow yourself to be a victim.
Now, aside Osinachi, who, may her soul rest in peace, who actually died from domestic abuse, there's also a lady, who is yet to be married, called off her wedding 3 days before, the wedding. And this is someone who isn't even married to the man yet, and the man, keeps on abusing her. It got so bad that, what broke the camel's back was when he went for a cutlass. The last time they had, an altercation, and she had to lock the door to protect herself. He kept hitting the door, slamming the door with the cutlass. Only God knows what would have happened if he had, gotten hold of her. Yes. Hold of her at that moment. The mom tried to, stop him, begged him, nothing. He was undeterred. His sisters tried to stop him. He was still undeterred. And she was like, she thought about it. And I think this Osinachi's, issue actually helped her call off the wedding, because she was like, with the rate of deaths going on in most marriages, and this is someone who has threatened her more than once, more than twice, that he was going to kill her. She said she can't marry such a man, and she called off the wedding.
So what do I think about that?
What do you think?
Culture. Culture takes a big chunk on this, because it was said that he has paid the dowry and done the old cultural rights and everything. So automatically, by their culture, that makes him, her, his wife. So I think he felt, oh, she's my wife now. There is no going back. So I need to break her back before it is finalized. I need to make her understand who's boss here. And he just couldn't wait. I think he came too early. Right, a lot of these people are they play mind games. They push and they push and they push. I remember reading that she said he did it before and he came back begging he will never do it again. So he actually knew he was doing something wrong. He knew that something is wrong with him. He knew something was going on with him. Something was wrong
Well,
with
I think
him.
all abusers are actually like that. I mean, like usually when they do
Yeah.
the deed, they come back and be all contrite and whatnot.
It doesn't stop them from doing it
It's
again.
a game for them. It's like we go betting and then I lose and you win and then I'm like, oh,
I'll
I'm
get you
sorry.
again next
Yes,
time.
I'll get you next time. Better deal next time or something like that. So for them, it's like the more they lose, the more they are caught, the more they have to apologize. You have to pay for that apology. They have to make you understand that I have to have the final say. I have to win this fight. I have to win this game. So if she now running out of it due to, I want to believe, like you said, Osinachi's story helped her, getting out of this, I think it's a plus to her. She should be given an accolade for that.
She dodged the bullet.
Yeah,
She dodged the
did.
bullet, yes.
But I hate to believe that if she hadn't had the there's a word that's coming to my mind right now, but I don't want to say it. If she didn't have
Nerve.
The nerve. Thank you for giving me that one. If she didn't have the nerve to end the relationship, before the wedding, I don't want to believe that her relatives that were there.
His relatives.
Oh, it was his relatives.
His family.
Exactly, his relatives. Even his relatives that were there when he was with the machete. You understand? When he had the machete in his hand and he was trying to chop her down, his relatives were there. I wouldn't want to believe that his relatives would not have intervened and stopped them, because they should be human beings as well. Just because it's their brother or their son doesn't make what he's doing right.
They tried, but then when you see a man wielding a machete...
No, after he wielded the machete, they should, I believe they should be able to say, really, this thing should not happen.
No, stop
This
it.
is why I want to ask, can one who is, abusive actually change? Can they change?
Yes, they can. Anything is possible.
But from your experience, you've
from
seen
my
things, you've seen a lot of things.
narcissists-
Have you ever seen anyone change?
No.
Exactly.
No. I always say they have to be, these people are sick. If we treat domestic violence as what it is, a mental case, first of all, it is a see, let us not go spiritual. The devil is sitting wherever he's sitting, and then mental health went to wake him up and added. That's what happened. This person is traumatized. This person is sick. We shouldn't shy away from the fact that this person needs help. This person should be sent for rehabilitation, checkups, and therapy.
But you'll have to accept that he has a problem first.
Yes, he has to accept that he has a problem.
But have you ever seen
and that is
anyone
where family
accept?
comes in. Family comes in because in the US and most developed countries, when they see such things, they get them arrested first, and then they get them tested. Your family, your culture does not care where you come from. The society, the government doesn't care your culture, where you come from, your background.
It's a family issue.
It is a government issue.
But it's
Culture.
difficult in Nigeria.
That is why
Because
I
just
said
like we said, his mother and
It's
his
a
sister were
family
actually
issue.
there when he had the machete,
You know,
and nobody said
such
anything
a
about
person
it.
needs to be. I feel such a person should be arrested, should be taken for psychological evaluation. He's sick.
All right, now quickly, before we wrap up, that if you still have a question, what about women? I know you'll be happy about this. What about women who actually push these men to become abusive, toxic women?
Like you said, toxic women. These are women that are traumatized themselves. They want to see how far a guy could go. Somebody said on social media, I read yesterday, that you need to test. I had a webinar yesterday on domestic violence, and somebody said you need to test them to know how far they can go. And I'm like, what kind of test?
Push them.
Yeah,
Push them
you
to
know,
the
I
wall.
want to know your bad side. I want to know your negative side. It's not bad testing to know how far this person can go, but what kind of tests are you giving? When it goes as far as you hitting him and breaking things in the house, I've seen young ladies, they say they are angry, so they should express themselves, so they break all the plates in the house. They break everything breakable.
The
TV, you know, those are signs. In relationships, there are always signs. Watch out for the signs. Men, when you're dating a woman, when you're dating a lady that goes violent, even if she breaks as little as her
teacup.
phone or a teacup, or her phone screen, throws her phone at the wall or whatever, or throws something at you and you dodge, please, that is already a sign.
I knew you asked this question before we wrapped up because you knew I should have a follow-up, but you know we are out of time right now, so I can't ask a follow-up.
Yes, okay.
You
No,
did
not,
it.
not
You did it purpose.
necessarily.
You did it purposely.
Not necessarily.
You did it on purpose.
All right, thank you so much. Because he actually has nothing to say. If he had, he would have said something.
I'm sure you will. You've satisfied him.
Don't mind him. All right, thank you so much,
Thank
Naomi
you.
Demide, for joining us. Again, it was absolutely a pleasure having you,
Thank
as
you for having
usual.
me.
We'll have you again some other time.
Thank you for having me.
All right, with that, we've come to the end of Daybreak Extra. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back again next week, Saturday, same time, same station. I'm Dasha Husseina Usman.
Dasha had so much fun that she wants to come back tomorrow. Well, I had fun, but I want to come back next week. So let's do it all again next week. My name is Ibrahim Yusuf. Have a lovely day.